What if I told you that countries don't rise because they became innovative, or fall because they became corrupt, but because of something almost no citizen ever sees? A global web of hidden credit networks, private markets, informal lenders, shadow institutions, and back-channel funding pipelines, quietly deciding who gets access to growth, who is kept in crisis, and who becomes powerful. We are taught that nations are built through industry, policy, elections, and leadership. But history tells a different story, because every empire, from ancient Mesopotamia to modern superpowers, has expanded not on land, but on credit. And every collapse has begun the moment those credit lines snapped. So today we're pulling back the curtain, because once you understand how these networks work, how they shift capital, silently pick winners, punish outsiders, and rewrite economic destiny, you'll see world events in an entirely new way. This is the story of how hidden credit networks shape the rise and fall of countries, and trust me, once you hear it, you'll never unsee it. Setting the stage, the invisible architects of power, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock before we travel through history. We need to rewrite one basic assumption. Most people think credit is just banking, a loan, a debt, but the truth is far bigger. Credit is a permission system, a gate, quiet yes that unlocks expansion, or a devastating no that freezes an economy overnight. And throughout history, credit has rarely been controlled by governments alone. Instead, it has flowed through networks, merchant guilds, foreign lenders, central banks, trading houses, aristocratic financiers, international funds, and modern shadow banking structures. They operate behind the headlines, beyond borders, and sometimes outside national law. To understand how they shaped nations, we need to start at the beginning. Long before Wall Street, long before central banks, long before modern capitalism. We begin in a world where money didn't even exist yet, but credit already ruled. Section 1. Origins. The first credit networks, 5 o'clock to 12 o'clock, thousands of years ago. Ancient kingdoms ran on grain. Commerce was simple, but power wasn't. In Mesopotamia, long before coins were minted, temples and merchant families recorded promises. You give me grain today, I give you livestock in harvest. You build this canal now, I grant you land next season. These weren't just transactions, they were networks of obligation. And very quickly, something unusual happened. A handful of families became the unofficial central bank of entire regions. They knew who owed whom, they could extend credit to allies, or cut it off from rivals, and the pattern began. Access to credit created winners, loss of credit created collapse. This ancient system birthed the first economic boom cycles. A kingdom with generous credit lines could expand infrastructure, military strength, agriculture, and trade. A kingdom that lost those lines, often due to crop failures or war, spiraled into chaos. We see this again in ancient Greece. The Athenians weren't just great thinkers. They were backed by a sophisticated credit network managed by merchant lenders who financed ships, trade, and their navy. Athens rose because money flowed freely through private maritime lenders. Meanwhile, Sparta remained conservative, suspicious of foreign credit, and slowly fell behind. Credit built empires, and a lack of credit ended them. Section 2. The rise, medieval financiers, and the birth of international credit. 12 o'clock to 22 o'clock, fast forward to medieval Europe. Kings controlled armies, but merchants controlled credit. And no group understood this better than the Italian banking dynasties, the Medici, the Fuggers, the Genoese networks. Their power didn't come from gold. It came from the ability to move resources across borders instantly. Credit became the bloodstream of kingdoms. When a king wanted to go to war, he didn't check his treasury. He called Florence, or Venice, or the powerful money-lending families of Antwerp. These networks made monarchs dependent. When a king defaulted, the punishment was discreet but severe. Trade routes cut off access to mints restricted. Merchant fleets withdrawn allies, suddenly unavailable wars were won not on battlefields but in ledgers. Spain is the perfect example. It became a global empire after gaining access to massive credit lines from the Genoese bankers. They financed Spain's ships, armies, and colonial expansion long before silver began sailing back from the New World. Spain rose because it had credit, But it fell because those credit networks shifted. The moment Europe's bankers lost faith in Spain's endless spending, when its defaults piled up, they quietly redirected loans to the Dutch and English. Spain didn't lose its empire overnight. It lost its credit rating. History simply followed. Section 3. A new system emerges. Central banks and shadow credit 22 o'clock to 32 minutes and 0 seconds. In the 17th and 18th centuries, nations realized something uncomfortable. They weren't sovereign. Their financiers were.